Brian,
Yes,
thanks so much for joining me, man. I really appreciate it.
of course.
You know, this podcast, it's called the Agent Entrepreneur Podcast, and it's to help new agents who are really trying to get into business, be a business, and become better at real estate, and maybe even investors. And I know that you've been around for a while, and you've got a lot of things going on. I ran into you at Forward.
Yes.
I mean, just in that, we talked for like 3 minutes, and you're like, I've got rental properties in other
Oh, yeah.
states. You know, did you own the brokerage?
So we've been doing real estate. My ex-wife started our team 1995. So we've been doing this for a while. And like you were just talking about, just by the name of the podcast, it's that many people, I think, get into real estate and they don't treat it like a business. They treat it as, hey, unlimited income potential and the ability to have a free schedule. And because nobody's checking up on you, like don't clock in, clock out, have a boss, you're kind of on your own. For some people, it works out great. For others, it sometimes gets them in trouble. But, for those people just get into it, you definitely have to treat it as a business.
All right. So take us back. When did you get into real estate? What drew you to it?
So it was funny. I graduated college. Then my wife, Amy, at the time, graduated the year after me. She had one job for 1 month and decided I have to work for myself. And she got in real estate first. So she did it. Kids were little. And then about 4 years later, I got into it with her because I was like, I want to be a sales guy. I was working corporate jobs. My degree's in finance. I was like, I got to do something for myself. So that's how I originally got in. She had done it before me. So basically, to be honest, she trained me how to do the day-to-day stuff. I was a buyer's agent for the first handful of years.
What year was that?
I got my license in 2001. Yeah.
First year in business. So you joined Amy. What were you guys doing a year in just overall sales?
So in those days when our kids were, so when I got my license, my son was 4.5. And I literally got my license a month before my daughter was born. So our kids were little.
Wow.
And at that time, our goal was typically to sell like about 40 homes a year.
Okay.
And so part of that was obviously I wanted to be able to coach Little League and do stuff with our kids. And so the goal was a little different then. It was, of course, how much income do we need to make to kind of back our way into what we want to do. So that was always the goal back then, was about 40 homes. And again, those days, average home prices were a little less than, let's say, what they are now. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So from when you started until, I guess how many years did it take before you experienced like really huge success? And can you explain, just for the audience who may not know you, like where you're at today? And
Right. So today I have a team of, typically we're 5, and it's usually me. I'm lucky I've had the same assistant, Robin, for 20 years. We've worked in a Remax office. So when we first started, we were in our old broker, Gary Canopa's Remax office.
okay.
Then in 2005, we opened up our own company, and we worked there for 16 or 17 years. We sold that about 3 years ago, and then been running my own team since. So a normal year for us on our team is always 4 or 5 people. It's kind of, grows big or small. And then typically we always try to shoot somewhere between $25 and $35 million worth of volume.
Yeah.
Whichever many houses that were, that was kind of always the goal, because I did want to be one of those agents that says, hey, I want to work 100 hours a week. So it was always that line between running it like a business and making it a profitable venture. I know in our industry, it's really easy for people to get caught up in how much volume did I sell and how many homes did I sell? And then they have no idea, did they even make any money?
Right.
So
when did you figure out you needed to do that? When I, my first year and a half in there, I owed a bunch of taxes, to be honest with everybody. And I was profitable, but I wasn't really tracking it. When did that start clicking for you?
So the funny part is, because my degree's in finance, for me, it was clicking before I ever even got into real estate. So when my ex was doing it, I was running her business behind the scenes, tracking numbers, doing everything. So we always kind of ran it that way, which is rare. But even like you, we had a year like that. The first year, our business exponentially grew. Yeah. We didn't pay enough in our quarterly taxes.
Right.
And it's weird because I don't think people realize, when you make a commission, great, we make $1, they give us the whole $1. And then we're responsible for doing everything with it. And I think the first time somebody has a real big jump in their income, no matter how well you're prepared for that, you don't know. We had the same thing that you're talking about. We got 1 year we got hammered, like, we owe how much?
Yeah.
And so then you start to really hopefully have a good CPA and pay much more attention to how to run this properly.
Okay. So the background in finance probably gave you a jump start into what was going on. When did you guys start the team besides you and your ex?
Right.
When did you start adding team members? And was Robin the first one?
Yeah. So really, when I was looking at, as way back when we first got in real estate, of course, this is dating myself now, pre-internet, pre-cell phones, pre-all these things, every realtor was basically just an individual realtor. Occasionally you might see somebody with an assistant. So early on, Amy did it. We got an assistant right away for her. So in those days, that was kind of considered a team.
Yeah.
When I jumped on with her, it was her doing the listings. I was basically the buyer's agent, and then we had our assistant, Robin. So we were a 3-person team. I think in that office, we were probably the biggest team because there were no such thing really as teams back then.
Yeah.
Typically a team would have been just, a husband and wife, a mother, daughter, father, son kind of thing. There was not like teams that people think of today as teams. Or you might have 2 agents that were partners. I know we used to always have people help each other, where it's like you and me, we would call each other buddies, where if you went out of town, I would help you. And then when I was out of town, you'd help me. But teams didn't really start happening, I would say, more to like early 2000s. And it wasn't like, I was thinking of like the 2 to 6 person as a team. Once you start getting, 10 and above, that's more like mega team to me. And that's a whole different animal, where you have a lot of people running teams, but never meeting with clients.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the middle. I've got a big team. I've got 22 people on my team, but I still, right after this, I'm going to go show some homes.
Right. So there's lots of different ways. And I think sometimes people, when they start to build a team, my question always to them is, what's the point of the team? And so everybody has a different philosophy on that, whatever business model, because there's a lot more different ways you could sell real estate now than you used to be able to when I first started, is just trying to figure out what do you want your business and either team or individual to look like, and do what you do. And not worry about, hey, so-and-so sold more real estate than me. Well,
right.
They might have sold more homes, but they might not be profitable. So that, our industry is weird that way.
Yeah. Profitability is one thing. Quality of life is another thing.
100%.
There's a lot of people that make a lot of money that are miserable.
Yes.
Which people don't even think about. Have you had a year like that where it was really like fire, really tough for you guys?
Well, we opened up a real estate brokerage in 2005. And then you weren't selling real estate, I don't think, in 2007, 8, 9. And those were 3 of the toughest years you could ever dream up, because basically our sales, prices went falling through the floor. And so, it was rough. I mean, we owned a brokerage then, so our agents were having a problem, our company was having a problem. And to be fully honest with you, I mean, by 2009, we were super close to just shutting the doors and calling it a day. And then luckily we made it just to the other side. And then from about middle of 2009 on, it's been really awesome until probably the last 12 to 18 months, where now everybody's worried about today's market. And I'm like, this is nothing like 08 or 9.
Right. So I know people who've made it, and I know people who didn't make it. When the crash happened, I was selling cell phones, and it bottomed out there too. It changed the whole industry, and it washed people out. What was the sauce that got you guys through? Was it the financial background that?
Well, that part saved us from actually going out of business. But if it would have stayed, that market would have stayed that way much longer. There was, at some point, you're just going to run out of money. So that saved us from getting there. But when we did finally get to 2009, and I could kind of see, it was just going back to those basic fundamentals that created all of our business in the first place, just knowing, okay, now we have a new financial plan, because now we've got debts that we never had before. We have agents that were struggling that we were trying to help get their businesses going again too. And as it turned, we got going in the right direction. And then the best thing we ever did was, it was in 2011. So just a year or two after the market finally got going again, and we weren't still in a great financial position, we bought an office building, or we bought land and built an office building from scratch. And in 2011, I think everyone in our industry probably thought Amy and I were absolutely crazy to do it. And in reality, that turned into the best thing we ever did, because even now, we sold the brokerage 3 years ago, but we did not sell the building. So the new company that owns the company, I mean, they rent from us, and that has been one of the better real estate moves we've made. So because, I'd love to hear your thing on this, but it's like, I think everybody gets in real estate and they realize how much money and wealth building, one, we can do helping clients buy and sell homes, and 2, even ourselves. We should all own real estate. It always surprises me how many real estate agents own the home they live in, and that's the only real estate they own. And I'm like, we even have investor clients that we're helping buy multiple homes, watching them build up their wealth, and we don't do it. So, I don't know if you own rental property or not, but it's just funny to me how in our industry we don't own more real estate.
Yeah, so I do own one rental and a big house. I'm one of those people who, not too big, but I try to keep it around 3 to 5 times my income, and then I move every 5 years.
Okay.
I'm in the process of doing it now. I don't know how many more times I'm going to do it, but it's a great way to build wealth.
Right.
I do see agents that don't do it. I think the people that are hands down the best at what they do practice what they preach.
Right.
One of the big reasons why I'm here with you today is you have a particular philosophy on how you do real estate, and that's what I'm gonna draw that out of you. for me, it's a little bit of investing. It's really paying attention to the data, watching the market, practicing solid real estate, and working with business partners. And even though we are not in business together,
Right.
we've done multiple transactions together through
Of
our
course.
teams. I've worked with one of your agents on a very large listing just recently, Salmon River.
Mhm.
And that was just very, very smooth. I'm happy when I see you or some of my friends
Oh, yeah.
across the way, because I know that no matter what's going to happen, as long as both parties are willing, we're going to work it out.
100%. Well, and that's the key anytime. The longer you've done this, the nice part for someone like myself now is, at minimum, they usually recognize my name and they know anyone who's done this for a long time, whether you get along with them personally or not, isn't matter. We're having a business transaction now, and you know that they're going to do their part of the transaction, make things work smoothly. Because again, at the end of the day, you and I aren't technically doing a transaction. We're facilitating it for our clients. I think sometimes people in the industry, they forget, they think they're in the transaction. Like, no, run it by your client, see what they have to say about it. And then let's figure out what the solutions are. Because as you know, if the seller wants to sell and the buyer wants to buy, there's a solution that we can get to at the end of the day.
Yes. So to get back to your question, I do believe in rental real estate. My thing is really, I'm more a fan of the taking my excess cash and paying off debt. I'm debt free now, but the first year I was in business, I just worked and worked. I made about $100K. I owed some taxes, so I didn't really net anything. The next year is when I more than doubled again, and that's when I started paying off the current house I was in. I exit out of that house, I went into a rental, and then I flipped that house, and I was able to add value and get $220,000 in profit out of that. And I bought that home for $196,000. And then I sat on that for a little bit of time until I saw the market top out, pushed it back into real estate, and then used some excess to buy one rental unit. And that's where I'm at. I've only been in real estate 4 years and 8 months, actually. So it's
Yeah, so your real estate journeys are just starting to go.
Yes.
And so, because I was saying, when you talked earlier, it sounded like you were, what a lot of people do, at least initially, is they go out and buy their primary residence, live in it for a while, and if they can keep it, and go buy another primary residence, rather than going out and specifically going out and buying a rental property. And again, I tell people all the time, where you and I happen to live, average prices are now in the 500s. When I first got into real estate, you could find houses all the time in between 100 and 200, which now doesn't exist. But there are parts of the country where you can find great houses in the $150,000 to $300,000 range and buy rentals. So even for guys like you and me that do real estate here, I do property management here, it would make life easy for me to own rental property here. But if I don't want to spend $500,000 on average, there are other places you can do it. So when people are thinking about investment property, even as realtors, you don't have to do it where you live. So there's lots of options for that.
So you had, when you started, did you have one house or multiple houses?
So we always just had the house we lived in, and we got married young. We were young. We had young kids. And so the first 2 or 3 times I moved, we just kept moving to the next house.
The upgrade.
Yes. Then eventually we did the office building, and then we owned some rental property in Sparks. So that was kind of our game there for a while. And as we built up wealth, we were paying off our debts too, because like I said, 08, 09 crushed us. And we started doing that way. It's been recently, the last handful of years, where now I've been buying rental properties in other states and other communities. And in that mode, I'm up to 6 or I'm buying the 7th one as we speak.
Would you mind sharing what, I know it's not here from our previous conversation.
It's all over the Midwest. So I've got clients that, if you're looking, for example, all the homes that I bought in the Midwest are between, let's say, $180,000 and $260,000. And you can find them. I've bought some in Indiana, but you can find all over the Midwest. I had another client who might be buying homes in Arkansas. And so long-term, those for me are more of a cash flow play rather than an appreciation play. And it's hard to get both. So I tell people, if you're trying to buy a rental, you kind of have to focus on one or the other. People that buy in Reno, if you put 25% down on a home in Reno right now, will it cash flow? Probably not, unless you're managing yourself. You might have to put a little bit more money down, but you're hoping we're going to have bigger appreciation here than maybe I have in the Midwest. But for me, all my homes in the Midwest, I got lucky when I started because those first handful of rentals were all under 4.5% on my interest rate, where now my recent ones I'm buying are more in the 6s. So they don't cash flow as well, but then you could focus on paying off those high interest ones first. But again, it's smartly using debt and smartly using leverage to just get more property, so that long term, it does make life a lot easier when you know we can always do what's in the best interest of our buyers and sellers, knowing I don't necessarily need you to sell your house today because I have income other ways than just real estate commissions.
Yeah. Yeah, the commission breath. No
Yeah,
commission breath.
100%.
No commission breath for you. Your first few rentals, did you buy them cash or did you use like debt service?
No, what I like to do is I like to put 25% down. And what was nice is when those interest rates were, the first three I think I did were high threes, low fours. Even at 25% down, those properties pencil anywhere from $500 to $700 a month.
Wow.
So that's why I went to other parts of the country to do it. And now my most recent ones with the higher rates, because again, the loans aren't huge, because if you buy a $200,000 house and your loan's $150,000, the amount of the loan isn't that big. And so the rate doesn't affect it quite as dramatically. And so like now the recent ones are more like in that $300 to $400 a month penciling range, but still it's more for a long-term play. Because I said I'm 52 years old and I don't need that money right away. But ideally, long-term, that's part of the retirement plan, since as you know, in real estate, we don't have company-sponsored, retirement plans and insurance benefits. We're paying for all that stuff ourselves.
Do you have a door goal for your retirement plan?
What's funny? I don't have a number of door goal. What I have is a dollar amount of income I want to earn.
Okay.
So how many doors that takes, we'll see. Part of it would be, like you said, if I own 10 homes free and clear and they generated me $10,000 a month, that might be someone else might have to own 25 homes because they have mortgages on them to get that same $10,000 a month. So the focus long-term is more on what level of income I want versus how many doors there are.
So how did you end up out of state? So for me, I'm the same way. I'm looking for rentals here. I have other friends who do this. I don't have any contacts. Well, I do, but not to the point where I would invest that type of money out of state. How'd you get to that point?
So over the years of being in real estate, I've gotten contacts from two different ways. One, obviously I work for Remax and we have agents all over the country that I've known from events that I've gone to over the years.
Yeah.
The other one is a coaching company that I worked with for 15, 16 years called Buffini & Company.
Oh, yeah.
So we'd also go to their events, and then I would meet realtors all over the country as well. Many of them who I've now known for 15 or 20 years, you become good friends with, they're all over the country. And so what you do is some of them will start to market how their areas would be good for investment property. So start looking into some of those. And the nice part is, like you said, that's the key to all this, is you got to have a good realtor contact, a good lender contact, a good property manager, because obviously I'm not managing properties in the Midwest. So you've got to have that team in place to do all that stuff. And once you have those things in place, that is almost more important than what part, like if it was in Indiana or if it was in Kentucky or if it was in Arkansas, I would pick any of those places based on the team I can work with almost more than just trying to squeeze every dollar out of it.
Yeah. I love that, man.
Yeah.
That's a good tip right there.
Oh yeah.
I'm in the core right now. So there's people all over the nation. So the next time I go to one of those events, I'm going to try and set that up with some of my buddies out there.
I would recommend it too, because like I said, you and I live in an area that's a little expensive.
Yeah.
So I would look for people in your group there that are more in that middle of the country and find good rental properties there where, again, 25% down on a $250,000 house is going to be a lot more affordable and a way to get started a lot sooner than waiting to try to do that in a market like ours where it's more expensive. And again,
that's where I'm at.
We want to own real estate here in Reno, but again, it's a little challenging sometimes when your income is earned here, your business happens here. And sometimes diversifying out into some other markets isn't a bad idea just because you don't want to have all your eggs just in this Northern Nevada situation.
Well, the current situation that I'm in is I have my primary residence, I have my one rental, but because of the pricing here, I have to wait and save up. And even though I'm doing pretty well, I've got to save up a huge chunk to try and get into the rental game here. So pretty exciting.
Yeah, I can give you some context.
Yeah, look it up, man.
Yeah.
So you mentioned coaching. There's two things I want to talk to you about. The team structure that you had, and I know it was just the family team at first, but I'd love to dig in what you believe there, and also how you acquire, how you would recommend someone who is getting started or been in the business for about a year,
right,
to acquire clients and build that database.
So for the newer agents nowadays, I think at least that first few years of your career, it's great to be part of a team, have someone like you or me that can help them along the process. But to me, as much as the world has gotten way more tech savvy and modernized, like I said, when I first started the real estate business, social media didn't exist, all these things weren't there. It all comes down to the relationships. So the key to me is having a database of clients, and not just people you don't know or people that you may have helped, but I would say, I'm looking for the same information. I want names, addresses, emails, and phone numbers. And I want to continue to interact with those people because it is so much easier to have repeat clients or friends and family of those repeat clients or people they work with that you may not know them, but it's like, hey, Lee said you sold this house for him and he's buddy I know from work and he told me to call you about selling your house. And now you've told them how amazing I am versus me trying to tell them how amazing I am. And so most of my business now, most of my listings and buyers that we help are people that, even if I don't know them, they got to me and trusted me because someone else told them to use us. So the key is just building up that database. And then over the years, what we've just done is we just throw events and things like that. So it gives me a reason to call and reach out and to just offer our services, whatever it might be. So if someone's looking because their roof is leaking, or there's a million things that you can do with a house, but even more than that, we would always tell people if you need a babysitter, especially those people that relocate here that know no one.
Yeah.
I mean, I've lived here for almost 35 years. My assistant, both my two people that work with me, we've all been doing real estate for 20 plus years. So we are well connected, and it's like lean into those connections, lean into that stuff. And even as a brand new realtor, that's what's nice is if you grew up here, it's one thing, but maybe you moved here or you went to college here and now you're trying to start your career. Get with someone like you or me or a number of other big teams that we know here and lean into those relationships and know, yes, I might not be on the greatest split early on. I might not make as much money, but you got to think of it as a long-term business building tool. Say, let me go learn from the best in the business. And then we'll all be able to long-term be able to do this for 20 or 30 years. Cause most people don't last more than a few and then they're out and on to something else because it's not for them.
70% don't make it past the second year.
Yeah. Something crazy like that. Yeah.
When did the referral business start clicking for you guys early on? When did you start? Because like at first, you plow time and whatever money you have into the business. When did it start kind of not coasting, but there's a point when it gets easier? Yeah, well, definitely it gets easier in the fact that you and I both know realtors they're really good realtors. Their problem is they just don't generate enough clients for themselves. That's 100%.
And that is the biggest key in this whole business is you have to spend a certain amount of time on a regular basis doing your lead generation activities and whatever it is that you want to do. I've never been an open house people, but I know people do open houses every weekend.
Yeah.
I do mine the way I do it, but it's just consistent. I would say 90 minutes a day, 4 days a week, just reaching out to your people, you'll have enough business. And again, over time, what happens is you start, and it usually takes somewhere that 5, 7, you're getting there now where some of the people you help buy are now going to start turning around and they need to sell a home and buy another home. And so then you start to get those people that start doing transactions 2 at a time. So that starts to help. But just like anything else, if you move into a brand new home subdivision, usually nobody starts selling their homes for at least 3 years. And then it starts to be worth, all right, that's a neighborhood that I might want to try to work because the homes will start to turn over. It's the same thing in real estate. It just takes a minute for those, as you build up a bigger database of past clients and friends and family that know what you do, it does start to get to that easier part. I would probably say 5, 6, 7 years in is when you start to get more of that repeat business.
All right. So you had your team of 3. When did you start adding on? Do you call them buyer's agents or just agents, partner agents?
In my team, we've had one that was specifically a buyer's agent, typically another one that could either do, they could do either or. I would never tell them you can't list a home.
Yeah.
But ideally for people like us, what happens is, and the original team concept was, you're generating so many leads that you can't physically spend the time to take them all out. So as we know, buyers are the most time-consuming part of our business. It's setting up showings, showing the homes. Eventually, hopefully, they buy a home, you write an offer, all the inspections. So they're more time-consuming during the process. A seller's time-consuming very much at the beginning, and then the time commitment sort of eases up a little bit. So I always say, if I had 50 listings, I could technically sell 50 homes this weekend, but I can't go out and show 50 buyers homes this weekend. So typically, most people, that's where they start adding our buyer's agents. Mine was a buyer's agent. My initial first few hires were buyer's agents once we had an assistant. And then over time, if you get a more experienced person that's maybe just saying, I don't want to be the lead dog, I just want to be part of a team.
Yeah.
And some of them are pretty experienced agents. They want to be able to list and help buyers. That's not a problem. You just work that out with them. So I always just call them agents on my team. I never like to put them in a box. Yeah.
I'm the same way. It's hard. I've run into that where I don't do that, but I've found that if you let people do listings off the bat and they don't have the experience, it can be bad too.
Right. So what I would do is literally early on is I would just take them with me on listing appointments.
Nice. And
you just tell the clients, hey, this is so-and-so on your team. They're been working with buyers for 3 years and they want to start getting in the listing game. And I just want them to see how the process works. They're just going to observe. And the client's like, yeah, no problem. And then they would come and off you go. Because what you want is those buyer's agents to be looking for sellers as well.
Yeah.
And so you don't want them to not be able to do that, but you also want to make sure that when they do finally list a property, they know how to do this in a very well-skilled manner.
All right. Let's talk about the coaching thing.
Yes.
So Buffini, is that the only coach you've had? Or?
So no, even prior to Buffini, we had business coaches before. So way back, you ever heard the book, The E-Myth?
Yeah.
We did coaching through them, and it was all about systems and organization. Yeah.
That's still a good book.
Oh, it's still a great book. And the biggest thing is if you have systems in place, and as realtors, it is very easy to be wild and unorganized with your time and your schedule. And our whole philosophy is to always be systems will set you free. And as much as I hated systems sometimes, it's how you make sure that your clients get a consistent experience. It's to make sure how you don't miss paperwork and times and dates and stay in contract. And as long as there's a system for everything, then you're going to be able to do more business with the same number of people and be more profitable that way. But it just makes sure that everybody gets that same experience over the time that they're working with you.
I really like that description, because I think when I talk about systems to agents, I think they really think software.
Right.
They really do. They're like, oh, so what software do you use? And it's really not that. I mean, we all have something to hold our contacts. It's the process so you can scale.
Absolutely. And like I said, in the old days, what it was we had our little binders, and it was just a checklist on a piece of paper to make sure that every step that we did got done, and we'd handwrite in dates and stuff, because this was late 90s. We couldn't do it now. But literally, you could take the same checklist, put it in some new software program. Instead of on a piece of paper, you're just clicking it on a software program. So in theory, it didn't change. It just become a more modernized version of the old school checklist.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what does Buffini help you with?
So what's funny is the last 3 years, I eventually stopped coaching with Buffini & Company. But what happened when we first started with them, their biggest tools were about all the sales systems.
Okay.
So it was all about your lead generation system and your administrative system. And it was really, their CRM was all based upon working your database of clients using their particular formulas and ranking your clients by A, B's, and C's, and how to interact with all these people. And I literally am one of those people. If you give me a system that says, if I use this system, I'm going to sell this many homes, that's all I ever did. So I just kept working that system for years and years and years, and it created a great database of clients for us, and it made it so we had a nice, consistent process. And I'm one of those agents that I know over the years, for the number of homes we sell with the two, 1 year was just me and Rob and 2 people, and we sold 98 homes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it wasn't like we were working 90 hours a week. There are stretches where you get real busy, but yeah, we had a regular life, and I always did all the stuff I did with my kids when they were young. So it's really, like you said, focusing on what you want your business and team to look like, like you said at the very beginning of this conversation about what you want your lifestyle to be, all those things going together so you can create a business that works for you rather than your whole life being all about your business.
Okay. All right. Let's fast forward. Let's imagine now someone's making $100,000, $200,000. They're probably selling 40 homes. Maybe
Right.
they're a solo agent. Hopefully they have an assistant.
Right.
And their hair is on fire.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give that type of agent? And how would they like break from that and set up some of these systems? Like, did you get to a place, by the way, where you were like that before you found systems, or did you always have the systems?
I was very lucky in the fact that my ex was very good about seeing the big picture. So you could say, hey, what do we want our business to look like 5 years from now? What do we have to do today, and work our way backwards to get there? So I was fortunate in that regard. But what I always tell people is this: if you're not sure how to do all those things, the people in this business that are very successful in our area are not hard to find.
No.
And they're all very helpful, like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
You've been doing this 4 or 5 years. I've been doing this 20 plus years.
Yeah, I just asked you, man.
We are not hard to find. And so I was looking at, like, I used to ask people those questions way back when, just like when new agents come and ask me questions, I am more than happy to tell them, here's what this is really like. This is what this business really is.
Yeah.
And it can be a great income producing, fantastic business, but this isn't for everybody.
Right.
And so I was like, just go find someone who you think has a business that you want yours to look like, take them to lunch, do what we're doing right now, and just start asking them the questions. They're more than happy to help you kind of get those things in place, and they'll give you recommendations on coaching companies, software programs, systems they use, and just go find something. I still do it to this day. I go look at people that are further down the road that own more rental property than me, or maybe sell more real estate than I do, or whatever the case may be, and just ask the questions. People are happy to help.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've got a few more questions for you. One is, you've been doing this how long?
Personally, I've had a license since 2001, but I feel like I've been doing this since 96, since I was sort of helping run Amy's team all those years at the beginning.
And I can tell by the way that you're talking to me right now, you're still fired up.
For the most part, and what's going to sound crazy is, and by the time this goes out, this will be a relatively new thing, but this week, actually, that we're recording is the last week of the real estate school, and our 22-year-old daughter is next week going to be taking the real estate exam, and has decided she is going to give this whole real estate thing a try with her dad.
Awesome, man.
So we'll see. We might have the next generation of the Lessinger team right in hand. And I told her, like I tell everybody, you just commit to like 2 years of this.
Yeah.
And then in 2 years, if you love it, great. Because as you know, most people don't even last 2 years. But even though you're working for your dad, it's like, if you decide you hate this, just tell me and we'll go find you some other career to do. Because as you know, this is not for everyone. But yeah, we're hoping that she will enjoy. I'm hoping she'll love it and start wanting to do this.
What is the reason you still love it? 20 plus years. I mean, I know people, we know we're in the same town. I know people who love it. That's why I asked to talk with you. I've run into you a few times and you're just super passionate. And then there's people that hate it.
Oh yeah. Well, I look at it this way. I really enjoy, so I'm a little bit different realtor than most people because I will talk to my clients about things I think a lot of realtors don't.
Yeah.
And with my degree and background in finance and those kind of things, I'm really try to have conversations with my clients about, one, using real estate as a vehicle to help their whole financial wealth and talk about other things that, like I said, how the benefits homes work or how these mortgages and things really work and why you'd want to go buy rental property or anything finance with them to help them along the process. And whether they're individual people, married couples getting divorced, helping grandparents, whoever it is, I just enjoy it. Like the house part is just the vehicle. It's having those conversations with people on how can we figure out a way to make your life better.
Yeah.
And it's just been a good way for me to get in front of lots of different people and lots of different walks of life. And so I've just enjoyed doing it. And I make a great living doing it. And the nice part now is, when I can sit in front of one of my clients and say, hey, 100% of the time, we're always going to be able to do what is your best interest. And I'm going to give you advice as if you were my son, daughter, mother, father, aunt, uncle, grandparent, whatever. Then they know we're going to do what's best for them. And sometimes that means don't buy, don't sell, wait, or no, you should do this now. That I just feel like that we've built up a lot of trust over the years, and it's just been a fun place to watch people's financial success happen over decisions we help them make. So that never gets old to me.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So do you read or who do you follow on? Okay. So let's start there. Who's a big influence? What are some books I should check out?
So a lot of the books I like to read are finance and money books. So there are certain authors, David Bach, B-A-C-H. Oh yeah. His book's on the wall behind me. I forgot about that. Yeah. David Bach is an author, talks about a lot of things, money and finance. So I do a lot of money and finance books, and my son who's 26, I meet with a group of him and his friends. We talk about all things money once a month, trying to help these guys learn about money and finance. I'm a huge, way back when, in 2008, I watched Gary Vee on stage in person. So I like a lot of what Gary has to say as far as just watching podcasts and things like that. But really, Think and Grow Rich, Richest Man in Babylon, those kind of books that just are finance things. And then really finding business coaches, events to go to. I'm going to this event called WOBE in November. It's the World Business Forum. You can look it up online, all kinds of great speakers. And so over the years, it's not always about real estate, but there's lots of other things you can learn about running a business. Find a financial guru, whoever you like. And nowadays it's more than just books. It's podcasts. It's all kinds of stuff, YouTube videos. So you can do lots of different things on always trying to educate yourself on getting smarter and wiser on whatever it is that interests you.
I think you said you meet with your son.
Yes.
I think that would be a cool podcast.
Well, it's so funny that you say that because it's something that we've been doing on a basis at home.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'd watch it.
And I think that we are definitely going to go that direction more, trying to help young people learn about money and finances and wealth building. Because again, go ask a 15 to 30-year-old where they learn this stuff. And most of them will either say their mom or dad, who many of them may not know what they're talking about, but they don't teach it in school. And even I, who have a finance degree in college, you learn about corporate finances and big companies kind of stuff, not personal individual finance. And you can find the stuff online, but I just think they need to find a person they connect with.
Yeah.
And start learning these tools that can help them create their financial future that they're looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about a few myths and then we'll end on what you think about the market.
Okay.
So coming in to real estate, what do you think are some of the biggest misunderstandings that new agents have, or even that some experienced agents have?
One, they all think they're going to make way more money than they do.
Yeah.
Two,
you got to pay your taxes.
Yeah, well, exactly. And two, it's the I control my own schedule. Income potential is unlimited. All those kind of things where it's like this all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
and then what happens, especially when realtors, if they're in a situation where they're struggling financially,
yeah,
then you just get yourself in a situation where it's just like, you'll work 24/7, day and night. You set no boundaries for yourself. And the key is you have to have those boundaries in place. Because I always say, if you're tired and angry and not in a good mood, it makes it really difficult for me to help you make good decisions because I'm not making good decisions at that point.
Right.
And so that's one of the fallacies and myths. I think everyone thinks everyone in this real estate industry is killing it, making tons of money. And as you know, in reality, it's a really small percentage of people that are not, because you better have some reserves because, again, as much as people think we're the commissions are big, but yeah, we make no health benefits. We have no retirement plans. We have no fallback option for ourselves. If cash flow doesn't work out, we can't meet our bills that month. It's
out of our wallet.
100%. It's like you're digging your own pocket.
Is $2,800 a month.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, wife and kids.
Yeah, wife and kids.
Yeah,
that's just a normal family affair, man.
I know. And that's why you see a lot of people, they get in a real estate business and one's in real estate and one has a corporate job or something that has those benefits. And if you're in that situation, good for you.
Right.
But a lot of us are not, and you're paying for all this stuff yourself, and it is not cheap.
No.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if you could do your best to explain, or how would we explain like supply and demand for new realtors? I think they totally miss the mark on that. I don't think they understand, especially when they get into listings, how much supply and demand affects that price.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. So when you're running your market analyses and seeing what is available, there's twofold. How many homes are on the market and how long are they taking to sell? So there's two things in there, and it's that pressure, like in the market that we're now. I know you want to talk a little bit like the current real estate market, and what's so funny is with interest rates climbing like they have over the last 12 months, and now they've been pretty steady in these mid-high sixes, low sevens, you would think prices should have come down. And from where we were 18 months ago, prices have come down, I would say probably 10-ish% in our market, which is a normal recessionary backup of pricing.
Right.
But you would think with rates doubling, prices would have come down even more, and they haven't because there isn't enough supply. And that supply demand is a couple of things. One, so many people have homes that they have interest rates in the 2s and 3s and 4% that really can't move because if they were to buy another house, the rate would be too high and their payment would double or triple.
Right.
And then you also have the situation where it's like, where am I trying to go with it? It's just that the new builders haven't built enough house. I mean, they've gotten scared. So like everybody got scared to put in new inventory.
Almost 2 million homes behind nationwide.
Well, and it's been going on for decades because literally since 2009, go try to find a house in Reno built between 2009 and 2015. There will not be a lot. There's this big gap of homes, and now they've been unable to catch up.
That's a good point.
Because they're all afraid to go build and build and build. So because of that, that supply is always going to stay low. And now it's going to be, how many years is it going to take for all these people with, like for me, my house, I'm at 2.85% interest. My son's at 3.25%. If you go pull the stats of the 50+ million mortgages in the country between people who own their homes free and clear and where there are people that have interest rates, let's say under 5%, it's like 95% of homeowners. And so it's causing that turnover to be slow. So for realtors and lenders and title companies and all of us in the industry, it's not great for us because the volume and the turnover of properties has gone way down. But for Joe buyer and seller, prices have stayed relatively flat now for the last 6 months. And now when we recorded, you're starting to see them slightly tick up. And if we go back to what was normal the first decade of my career, which was like 3 to 5% per year appreciation, I could see that being the case for the next handful of years.
Let me ask you this. I believe rates will start to taper off and come down. And the reason why they raised them so much was to lower inflation. If they lower the interest rates again and the market goes back on fire, well, do you think inflation will go up? I mean, what's your opinion on that?
Well, it seems like they've been trying to do everything to get inflation to actually be a little more aggressive than it's been. And obviously certain things, if you're in a grocery store buying gas, we've all seen things get more expensive. It's hard to say. I mean, I know I was on a what's called Bold Predictions that Buffini puts on a couple times a year. They interview all kinds of big national economists, and they're all saying what you had just said, where they kind of feel over the next 12, 24, 36 months, interest rates will creep its way back down and the market will pick back up.
Yeah.
Hopefully that will happen slow enough that it won't cause any dramatic inflationary changes. We'll just have to see. I just know that it's going to be one of those wait and sees. I tried to put down my crystal prediction ball years ago because, you know, if I would have told you that I would have bought a home in 2001 for $300,000, and in 2005 it would have been worth $600,000, and in 2009 it wouldn't even have been worth $300,000, they would have all told me that dude is whack. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's crazy. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you know, here we are 3-4 years ago, prices were doubling or going up crazy amounts. So the last 20 years of doing this, if someone would have told you in 2001, here's what's going to happen the next 20 plus years, no one would have believed you. So trying to predict what's going to happen next year and the year after, like you and I like to do. We look at the data, we look at the numbers, we try to predict what's going to happen. But here's what I will tell people. If you bought a home today and you do what you should do, which is hold on to that thing for 10 or 15 or 20 years, do you really think that we're going to wake up here 15 years from now and your home's going to be worth less? It's not. And again, if all of a sudden you buy a home and rates go skyrocketing up, be glad you got a house now when the rates are at 7 and not 9.
Right.
And if you buy a house at 7 and rates all of a sudden 2 years from now go to 5, great. Refinance your house, get yourself a lower house payment, and you won either way. So as long as you're buying a house with a payment you're comfortable with every month now, great. Don't hope it goes down or up. Or as long as you can afford it now, buy it, and then you'll be fine long term. And I would say, just keep holding them, and you'll be fine in the long term.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much. Before we end, is there anything that you're doing that people should follow, or how do we find you on social media?
So everything is always under my name. So if you look on Instagram or Facebook, it's just under Brian Lessinger. I do have a relatively new YouTube channel called Living in Reno, Tahoe. So you can go there. We've been doing videos there for a few months, and we're going to do a few more things.
Okay.
And as we mentioned earlier, like briefly when I was talking to my kids about money and stuff like that, that's going to be something new we're doing soon. So as that starts to kind of happen and progress, we'll get more information out there. And I'd love for you to share the info, because all we're trying to do is help people get educated on all things money, finance, real estate, investing, and trying to figure out how they can create a financial future that they're proud of and happy to have.
All right. Thanks so much, Brian.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah.